Dude, she made 12,000, probably around $12,000 from one
Yeah.
post.
Yeah.
Now, was there legwork and time and work? Yeah, man. Like, ain't
But
nobody. Nobody's preaching simple for you here, okay?
right.
But strategic and focused,
Exactly.
and like that's what this is. And if you focus your energy right, there's no reason for you not to be very, very, like
Yeah.
successful. So, what are the key components to marketing and sales? How do some of the most successful entrepreneurs and business leaders set up freedom frameworks that we all got into business for in the first place? How did they find the time, energy, and resources to launch and scale strong? And how do Rockstar entrepreneurs and business leaders with that champion mindset align their time, money, and energy in a way that will allow us to reach what we set out to achieve? These are the key questions, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Brian Chamberlain. This is the Convert on Command podcast. Thanks for listening to the Convert on Command podcast, sponsored by Convert on Command and Mission Ignition Marketing. If you want to ignite your business and increase your sales, be sure to visit convertoncommand.pro and set up a time that works best for you in the calendar at the bottom of the page under the latest feature video.
Hey, welcome to Convert on Command podcast. We're super excited to have you here. This is your host, Zach Shanky. That's right. We switched host and co-host positions for this round. But I'm here with my business partner, Brian Chamberlain, who is a beast among beasts, a boss among bosses. He is the best of the best. So what we're going to do today, we're going to cover chapter 11.
I love this. Like, I'm so being tutored right now. It's not even funny. Well, it's actually hilarious. I love it. Keep going. I'm good with this.
Well, no, I'm going to stop before your head gets too big. But so we've been going through this Passion and Profits book for the last 11 weeks. And today is chapter 11. And it's a key component. We just did a ton of work identifying your mission, vision, values, identifying the right mindset and heart set and identity. We went through how to identify your target audience, the right message, the right offer, how to position all those things. And now, finally, we're going to start to implement and put them into practice. And so with that is part of chapter 11. And so I'm going to let Brian take it away.
That was so good. He should do that more often. But this has been a lot of fun, everybody, man. Like, I thank you, Zach. That was just like very, very, very heartwarming and kind of you. But I'll tell you what, man. Like, this book has been just an amazing journey. Like, we are literally one chapter away from writing our first book together, and we've got plans to write another book next year. And for those of you that are listening for the first time, like, we're doing this is the rough draft. Okay. So like, we're in the first round of drafts. Okay. So second quarter, we're going into another draft, third quarter, another draft, fourth quarter, another draft. In the first quarter of 2022, we're going to release the book while we're also writing the next book, which is called Ignite Your Income. And that's literally where we're going to take our inner circle, Passion and Profit rock stars, our inner circle members with this just awesome movement, and we're going to help them take the game to yet another level. Because this is literally baseline of, you're kind of either been an entrepreneur for a while, got an entrepreneurial heart, you're a rock star entrepreneur or business leader, or strive to be a rock star entrepreneur and business leader with that champion mindset. And you are starting from scratch, and you're literally looking to turn your passion into profits. You might be a business owner who is looking to, move from here to, like, if you're watching a video right now, here to here, from where you're at to breaking through the proverbial glass ceiling, if you will. Then this book and this program and this movement is definitely for you. And so by the end of today, on this session here today, we're going to go over a little bit on how you can become an Inner Circle member. But I'm literally going to dive into this first draft right here, right now. And so I'm excited. Thank you so much, Zach. And please feel free to chime in anywhere that you feel it's important to, because I always interrupt you. So please, by all means, feel free to chime in. And again, you might be listening to this on the podcast. And I know we're on screen right now on YouTube. And so there's a lot of different ways that you can take this in. So I'm going to try to, keep that in mind as we're going through here. So chapter 11, look, creating killer content that converts and then proving your concepts. Okay. Proving your concept is so important. And this is where we're kind of tying in pretty much everything that we went over in this book, and like getting to a point where you're organically positioning what we built from this up to this point. Okay. Up to this point, what we've built. And for those in the Inner Circle group, like obviously you got to apply a lot of this stuff now, right? And that's why going into the second quarter, we're going to go into more depth in the course. And we're going to go into, of course, another draft, but we're going to go into depth in the course that you're not going to necessarily have in the book, because we got to teach you, what we do and why we do it, and the how we got to get a lot more detailed. And that's what this is about. Okay. So chapter 11, again, creating killer content that converts and proving your concept. So Zach has covered so much ground when it comes to messaging. It's been enriching to take in his perspective and his methods to creating a clear message that converts. Now, in this chapter, we're going to be going over creating killer content that converts and proving your concepts. And by the end of this chapter, I want for you to understand how to leverage everything that Zach has taught while opening up opportunities to prove your concepts in preparation for the next chapter / phase, which is scaling with ads. Okay. And I'm really excited. You need to gear up for that.
So this is like really key, because as useful as those methods are that we've been talking about in last chapters, you all at the end of the day, none of us really knows what's going to convert or what's going to resonate with the audience. That will position you to have a really good start. But at the end of the day, you don't really know until you start putting it out there and seeing how people respond and react to it.
Absolutely. I love it. So have you ever heard of the concept of having an online omnipresence before? Some call it online omnipresence, and others call it omni-channel marketing. Whatever term you prefer, what it really means is meeting your customers on their terms, everywhere they happen to be. And in this case, for the purpose of this chapter, we are talking about social media platforms. Now, omnipresence may sound impossible. Ultimately, it does require you to think bigger and broader in regards to your content, media, marketing, audience, time management, and many other key selling points. So how does it work? How can you gain online omnipresence? It might first help to understand what omnipresence doesn't mean by reviewing the big mistakes, or the biggest mistakes, if you will, that many entrepreneurs and business leaders make when building an omnipresence strategy. So omnipresence is not simply about adding more content and marketing channels. This is one of the biggest mistakes most entrepreneurs and business leaders make when developing an omnipresent content and sales strategy. They try to cover every channel and new social media platform, ultimately leading to overwhelm and burnout. And they think solely in terms of reach instead of being strategic with targeting and messaging, as we covered in the last few chapters. They think that they need to be on every platform, not realizing that their audience might not necessarily be on every platform. We're going to dive more into platforms shortly as we get into proving your concepts. But until then, don't get me wrong, there's something to be said about casting a big net. However, omnipresence isn't just about getting onto every social media platform there is online. It's not about blasting out a wave of emails, posting an endless stream of blogs, and engaging your social media community, etc. Omnipresence isn't about more. It's about getting clear with your message, creating content that connects with your audience, multi-purposing, and being strategic with your time and energy so you can cover as much ground as possible while being able to be yourself and allowing your personality and your message to go to work for you. It's about taking the time and being intentional with showing your ideal audience that you are committed to building a personal, meaningful, honest, and mutual beneficial relationship. Now,
Hold on a minute.
yeah.
That is awesome. That is really, really good, guys. Like, you don't even understand. Let me give you a quick little example of this. There was this lady, this is a long time ago, that I showed her the elephant method and she applied it, right? And she, instead of posting a million things, is what Brian's talking about, right? Instead of posting a million things on every platform, she knew exactly where her audience was. It was in this other person's group. And so what she did is she used the elephant method. And I'm sure you're going to get into this kind of thing, but
Well, I got a surprise for you, and I kind of don't want to spoil it. So I almost want you to hold on to that thought.
okay, all right.
Okay, I do have a surprise for you. Okay, this a surprise for everybody, and I know where you're going, and you definitely this is important. So
Okay.
we stick with us here, okay? Because this is so good. This is so good. This is so rich. Okay,
Good.
so all right. So look, it's about taking the time and being intentional with showing your ideal audience that you're committed to building a personal, meaningful, honest, and mutually beneficial relationship. Now, how do you do this? Okay, Gary Vaynerchuk is one of the first individuals to talk about content marketing using macro to micro strategies. Okay. A prime example of this is what we're doing with this Passion to Profits book and how we are repurposing all the content from this book, along with how it gets into the hands, eyes, ears, and minds of our audience. Now, we decided to get extremely intentional with our messaging by writing this book, providing incredible value through the content, then publishing the content through the multiple channels that our audience is spending most of their time on, like podcasts, Apple Podcasts and Spotify, etc., YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Now, the macro to micro strategy is simply taking a macro piece of content like a recorded chapter of a book like this, which we record once a week, then cutting that macro recording into micro pieces and publishing it to platforms that are best suited for micro pieces of content. Now, what is considered a macro piece of content and what is considered a micro piece of content? Macro equals a large piece of content. Just look up the definition of macro, right? So a large piece of content. So think 10 to 15 minutes plus. A TED Talk is a prime example of a macro piece of content, which is typically 17 minutes. Gary Vaynerchuk preaches about documenting pretty much his whole day. His team captures his 1 to 2 hour speaking events, etc. And this is basically a macro piece of content that would most likely be published on YouTube. More on platforms in a second, okay? Micro equals content that is typically 60 seconds or less. And I suppose you can call a 1 to 3 minute or 5 minute media clip a micro piece of content in comparison to a macro. However, for the most part, a macro piece of content is a teaser that would point or preview to a macro piece of content. So, which platforms are suited for macro and which are suited for micro placements? Let's break it down. Okay. So YouTube is both, but I would say mostly a macro platform. Mm-hmm. Vimeo, very much the same thing. And the difference, YouTube is more of kind of like a public platform. Vimeo is more of like a professional platform. But again, Vimeo, both, but really great for macro. Facebook is both straight up. Okay. Facebook stories is a micro. Okay. Instagram is considered a micro. IGTV, which is within Instagram, but it's kind of its own entity, it's great for extended micro, okay? But Instagram does 60-second clips, and IGTV does over 10 minutes, but most content leaders will make an IGTV video between 3 to 5 minutes. Twitter is definitely a micro. LinkedIn is a micro. And I would say an extended micro, as most business people are focused on saving time, right? But now, if you are a P2P Inner Circle member, you are going to receive Inner Circle training on how to create killer content for each platform. Okay. And I'm also going to share all the latest and greatest tools and apps that our team uses, including both paid and free platforms, so you can make the most informed decision with how to create your killer content, depending on where you're at in your journey. All right.
Wow.
All this being said, omnipresence requires more than marketing your business across multiple channels. It demands having a consistent message on the platforms that your audience is hanging out on most. But how do you know where your audience is hanging out? Let's get into proving your concept. In a recent training, we talked about not just understanding your audience and creating a clear message that inspires them to action, but mutually important is also understanding where they are hanging out so that you can get the right message in front of said audience. Now, I gave an example of targeting an audience during our training the other day. I expressed that if I was looking to raise money for some type of charity, that I would most likely visit the A&W burger joint in my hometown of St. Paul, Alberta, because all the older traditional folk hang out there for coffee every day.
Yeah.
Most of my grandparents' friends hang out there. And as a matter of fact, I've raised money for a few causes and saved a lot of time a few times just going there for coffee and collecting goodwill from that audience. Right? Like it makes a lot of sense. Go to where they're hanging out and collect. Right. So the exact same type of connection process can be done online as well, more efficiently and effectively, if you once again understand your audience and where they hang out online. This is where we're going to get into this with Zach here in a second. So examples of where your audience might be hanging out. If you have a B2B, business to business service, the chances of your audience hanging out on LinkedIn at the time that I'm writing this chapter in 2021 is extremely high. If you have a B2C, business to consumer product or service, the chances of your audience being on Facebook at the time that I'm writing this chapter in 2021, once again, is quite high. Now, there are many other platforms that your audience might be hanging out on, like Instagram, YouTube, Google, Twitter, Clubhouse, TikTok. These are the main 6 platforms that to market your products and services on right now, in my opinion. And there's no doubt that things can change at any moment. Okay. If you're in the B2B space, a great way to prove your concepts is to focus on our Convert on Command LinkedIn strategy, which you can get access to in the Passion to Profits course as an Inner Circle P2P member. Now, I'm going to illustrate a very similar approach shortly, but the reason why I'm not covering the full strategy in this book right now is because there's a ton of layers and software involved with that training, but you will get the broad picture of the outreach approach here in the next example. If you're in the B2C market, it's going to be important for you to research your audience and which platforms they spend the most time on. Zach has covered this, okay? But now you need to understand, okay, where do they hang out online? So, however, for the most part, the chances of your audience being in a Facebook group / community are very high. Okay, this is what Zach was getting into. So buckle up. Once again, if you're a P2P Inner Circle group member, we're going to be providing a deeper training on this to you both live and in the course. But let's dive into how to target and leverage Facebook groups. So there's 2 ways for you to leverage a Facebook group. 1, post meaningful, value-filled content for your audience in the Facebook groups that they are a part of. And number 2, add people from said group and be ready with a messenger strategy. Let's break down point number 1. But before we do, it's important for your Facebook profile to reflect your message well. Your profile should have a profile picture that illustrates you and your brand in the right light. Think of a dating site like Tinder for a second. If your profile picture is not presentable or sexy, if you will, how many swipe rights do you think you're going to get? Probably not a high volume, right? Same goes in business. If your profile does not represent you and your brand in the best light, the chances of a business transaction being attracted to you are much slimmer.
Okay,
of course,
got a question.
Got
a question for you. So I just know from several people I've coached on this, and I agree with this 100% what you're saying in here. The number one objection people have with this is, well, I don't want my profile to have these things because I've got coworkers in there, I've got family in there, and I don't know what
create a new profile.
Well, so That's one thing, I guess you could do that.
I'm going to show you. I'm going to prove creating a new profile.
So the challenge with that though is that technically it's against Facebook policy, but here's what happened to me a couple years ago. I was at a event. Russell Brunson was speaking.
Okay.
If you don't know who he is, he's a big shot marketer with $100 million company. And he was like, who cares? So that was basically like, he addressed that question. He said, look, unfriend everybody, start over. He's like, it's not, you're in business. If you're in business, social media is not for consumption. It is now for posting.
Amen. Yeah. Moving from, I like that. I like that. Thank you. I appreciate what you're saying. That's 110%. And it covers more ground than my proof of concept that I'm going to go here in a second. If we might want to approach this a little differently for sure. But like, I agree with that, because moving from consuming, creating to consuming, move from consuming to creating.
And I did that, guys. And to be honest, all my previous coworkers, off, family gone, friends, all like, I did it now. I did it to the extreme. You don't even have to do all that. I did all of that, and only two people, my mom and my best friend growing up, messaged me like, "What gives, dude? Why did you, why did you unfriend me?" And I brought them back on, right? But other than that, nobody even said anything. Like, nobody really cared. So.
Yeah, no, that's a very, very good point. And you shouldn't be in the game to be worried about what other people think of you. You should be focused, again, like moving to, instead of being a consumer, being a creator. And that's, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a business leader, that's what you need to do to be successful. So that is what it is. I love that. Thank you very, very much for throwing that in there. But I do have another thing that I did here that I'll get into. So like, again, if you're not presenting properly, the chances of you, getting what you want in terms of end results are probably not going to be very high volume. And that's just the reality of it. So same goes in business. If your profile does not represent you and your brand in the best light, the chances of a business transaction being attracted to you are much slimmer. And of course, on Facebook, you also have a header. So it's important that your header is consistent with your profile picture as well as your message. Yeah. And your bio and your business links should be congruent. And the links that you use should, in fact, be the funnels that you would have after applying everything in this book and Inner Circle course. Yeah. Okay, so back to point number one, posting meaningful content in a group to attract your audience to you. Zach teaches a course on this. I wanted to surprise him and surprise everybody else. He already kind of jumped the gun on this, but I was like, okay, Zach, you take it away. You share this point number one, because this is your wheelhouse.
That's hilarious. I had no idea you were going to do that.
I know, it's obvious.
No, that's great, though. It works. So, guys, the elephant method that we went over in whatever chapter that was, I literally use that, and it works so well. Okay, so I've done this not just for myself, but previous clients in a previous agency. I've taught them how to do this, and it worked. I have a separate group with a different business, somebody in there. That was the example I was going to share with you. This lady, she took the elephant method. She came up with a topic, because does it have to be value filled? Yes. But
thanks for listening to the Convert on Command podcast, sponsored by Convert on Command and Mission Ignition Marketing. If you want to ignite your business and increase your sales, be sure to visit convertoncommand.pro and set up a time that works best for you in the calendar at the bottom of the page under the latest feature video.
Should it be something that everyone agrees with? No. Your value-filled post needs to create discussion, okay? So I'll give you a couple of quick examples. I don't know what she did exactly, but she made one post and she ended up with 400 comments. 400 comments. And you know what she did? She friended every person that commented and started messaging them. And with that one post, she had 4 clients, 4 one-on-one coaching clients.
And those were high-ticket clients, I'm guessing.
High ticket. Yeah. I don't know the exact price point. I think it's around the 3K range for 3 months, but
So imagine
something
that.
like that.
Out of 400 people, you get 4 clients.
And she was just trying it, right? She like she found my ebook about the elephant method or something, and she's
Or
like, let me try this.
dude, she made 12,000, probably around $12,000 from one
Yeah.
post.
Yeah.
Now, was there legwork and time and work? Yeah, man. Like, ain't nobody.
No,
Nobody's preaching simple for you here, okay?
right.
But strategic and focused,
Exactly.
and like that's what this is. And if you focus your energy right, there's no reason for you not to be very, very, like
Yeah.
successful, to
So
walk
so
away with
what
something
are
great.
so some other examples like value with discussion? Okay. This is where you take that elephant method, and step number 3 is to do the opposite. Or maybe it's step number 2. Step number 2 is do the opposite of what everyone else is doing, right? So for me, for example, when I was doing a lot of one-on-one coaching, one thing that I would do is I would go into these groups where there's a lot of people running Facebook ads, and I would look at what they're talking about. And a lot of times they talk about cost per click. Okay, how much does it cost to get a click? And people are like, "Oh, I got 5 cents per click. I'm the best." Well, I made a post in there. The opening line was cost per click doesn't even matter. And then
Oh,
boom, and
that
I
like completely created so much
yeah,
tension in the feed. Like I remember that. It
yeah,
created
yeah.
some serious tension.
There was like 300 comments. I mean, people were straight up arguing with me, and
Yeah.
and I had a screenshot to prove it too, as to why and
Yeah.
how I was
Because the
justifying. Got to justify.
quality of lead went
Right.
up with the cost per click went up, and like you could
So
actually see
the
it. I remember that screenshot. It was so good. So
yeah.
good.
So the point is though is like it should create value, because there was a lot of people as well that agreed with me 100% and were like, I'm glad somebody said it, stuff like that. So it's got to create value, but you also have to create discussion. And if you do that, you get all this engagement, and then you have a way you can talk to people. You can message them, hey, I saw you commented on my post. I love what you said, or I think we can agree to disagree, however you want to put it. And boom, once you start the conversations, then you can start using step number 2 that Brian's going to go into.
Yeah, I mean, step number 2, like for me, I've never done that approach that he's talking about, so I can't really speak to that. But I'm going to speak to, and I think that, like Zach said here, you can take these 2 steps and mold them together. And I'm sure that Zach has done a lot of this. And if he hasn't, maybe this might spark something little pretty cool too. But I think that he's heard this story before. So point number 2 is adding people from said group and being ready with a Facebook Messenger strategy. Okay, so like a couple years ago, before I met Zach, I actually applied a group messenger strategy. I was selling a high ticket water machine that I completely believe in, and I think it's an amazing product. Okay, but before my audience even got to that water machine offer, I was selling a digital marketing course that taught about high ticket sales. And now we've talked in this book about the fact that the energy levels for selling a $37 item and a $3,700 item are not that different if you know your audience, their plans, the results they want, and the objections and challenges that they are going through. Well, we happen to know our audience inside and out on this strategy. We basically had a low ticket $25 course teaching how to sell high ticket items that upsold to a $75 offer with one-on-one coaching that ultimately led to our audience doing their homework and due diligence on the high ticket item that they, at a point in the funnel, were presented the opportunity to sell. Okay, they're looking to learn high ticket sales, and they wanted to, plug into something that they could sell, which ultimately gave them the templates that we illustrated to them throughout the entire funnel process and customer journey. They simply had to buy the high ticket item to get the entire system to resell for themselves. So, top of the funnel, I sold it for $25. It was a no brainer. Upsold to $75, no brainer to get the extra support, which led to like I said, for $75, we'll give you 3 calls. So it's like $25 my time, like for three different calls. And then I gave them homework every time we got on the call. And I let the funnel do the work. The content did the work. And by the end, I was just answering questions. I didn't change the energy level. It just, the numbers kind of went to work. And so we actually have a few people in the Passion to Profits inner circle group here that came from that campaign.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like a handful of them. So
Cool.
what's that?
I said, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. So I had my assistant add about 5,000 people on Facebook through another profile I created within about a month and a half. And as Zach said, maybe it's not in line with Facebook policies and stuff. I just basically created another profile with like my middle initial, so Brian G. Chamberlain, and like it was all in line with I wanted to create a Facebook page because you can actually take all of these friends and migrate it to a Facebook page. And that's literally what I did. So I created a Facebook page of 5,000 people within about a month and a half. So I had her add those people. And at the time that I implemented this strategy, Facebook didn't care how many people you added. As far as I know, they still don't. They simply would flag you if people were blocking you and not adding you back, which is why it's so important for your profile to be attractive to your audience.
Yes.
If your profile is attractive, they're not going to block you and all that kind of stuff. They're going to be, you're going to it's a good presentation. So the sequence was simple. One, add 100 people a day as a friend from said groups. We were targeting high ticket sales groups and marketing groups. That just made sense. Right? So the cream would rise to the top in the sense that people would not only add me. Point number 2 here. Sorry. The cream would rise to the top in the sense that the people would not only add me as a friend, but they would ask me a few different variations as to why I added them as a friend. Okay. And so number 3 is I had a simple script response that I knew would be attractive. And I would ask them about what they were working on. Important to note here, I never asked anyone what they did for work because not many people actually like what they do for work. I wanted to engage an inspired response. What are you working on? Right? And then it would force an inspired response, because when you ask somebody what they're working on, they're going to tell you about their entrepreneurial endeavors. They're going to tell you about the things that light them up. Right? So they got excited at that point. And I knew at some point that question was going to come back to me. Okay, so I was ready. Point number 4, I was ready when they asked me what I was working on, including my script, my funnel link, and the hook and call, the CTA, the call to action. Okay, so I ended up selling about 75 courses within just under 3 months, and I upsold 2 to 3 $5,000 USD water machines per month. Right?
Boom.
And I'm not going to lie, this was very tedious and tiring after a while. It wasn't something that I could sustain every single day for the rest of my life, but the concept sure as heck was proven. Okay. And I gained all the knowledge I needed in order to get to the point that we are today. And we use that's
the goal, right? That's the whole point of this chapter. These are strategies that are not meant to be what you're going to do until you decide to retire. No, this is meant to prove a concept and make sure people are willing to spend money when things are positioned this way.
Amen. Amen. So we use very similar strategies, okay, with every new niche that we get into to prove the concept before we run ads. And listen, I want to encourage you to research where your audience hangs out online if you haven't already. If you have not developed your funnel yet with the right message to inspire your audience to action, I want to encourage you to get clear on your message and put together a strong funnel. Position yourself and your profiles in conjunction with your mission, vision, and values, along with your service offering. Start getting intentional with a content plan so that the moment someone decides to look you up or do some extra research, your omnipresence and your content will go to work for you. Okay. And this is important because when people were adding me and they were looking at my profile, they were looking at my profile picture, they were also looking at my header. when you have little micro pieces of content that are pointing to bigger pieces of content, they're going to look at that. If all those things have calls to actions and all that stuff, and there's that congruency, it's going to be that much more attractive. And so that's where your content.
They also build amazing amounts of authority,
trust, and rapport. Yeah. Authority, trust, and rapport. Like it's so important. So important. Okay. So, again, get intentional with the content plan so that when people decide to look you up or do some extra research, your omnipresence in your content, it's going to go to work for you. I can't tell you how many times we've received clients based on our content.
Yeah.
Like it's, and you don't know when, but I guarantee you it's going to inspire your audience to action more having that than just having a funnel, right? Like there's more to it. People, it's touch points. The more touch points you have with people, they say, a few years ago, it was like it would take them 5 to 6 touch points before they make a buying decision. Now they say it's between 15 to 20, and it's gaining more and more to actually inspire people to buy. You need those touch points. They need to have extra touch points to finally get to a point where it's like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and last but not least, get ready for the last chapter, because Zach is going to blow your mind with how to scale with ads. And also gear up for our next book titled Ignite Your Income, where we help you take everything you've learned here in Passion to Profits and position you to light it all up, to light it on fire. All right. So that's the chapter, man. This is I had a lot of fun writing this yesterday.
So this is awesome. First off, I mean, you're taking everything that you've learned up to this point and you're putting them into practice to see if people are willing to spend money. That is key. Are willing to spend money for these things that you're putting together. See, because anyone can tell you, oh, that's a great idea. But if they don't actually spend money on it, they might not actually feel it's worth it. It has the same value, in proportion to spending that money. So it's really important that they actually put their wallet where their mouth is and they actually pay for things.
Yeah, because if you start running ads and you didn't get any sales prior to running these ads, and you didn't get to know the biggest questions and the biggest objections and all the challenges that your audience is going through, the chances of you having a successful campaign from there aren't definitely not as high.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Yeah. Anyways, let's dive into, I told you at the beginning of today's session that we were going to share with you how you can become an Inner Circle member. Okay. So look, there really honestly has never been a better time than now to, figure out a way to turn your passion into profits with what's going on in the freaking world right now. Like the government ain't saving nobody, I truly believe that entrepreneurs are our last hope.
Yeah.
It's part of why we're doing what we're doing. And there's no reason, honestly, for you not to be successful because of the power that you have in your hands. Guys and gals, look, the cell phone that you have in your hands, the extension of you, like this is literally an extension of you. Elon Musk is talking about trying to get a chip in your brain that they say that your thumb is the only thing, your thumb is literally the only thing holding you back now with all the technology that we have. Because it literally is what slows us down. It's the only thing slowing us down. It gets scary at the thought that you can actually have a chip in your brain that would do all the things that your phone does and nothing could hold it back. Can you imagine? It's scary. Go watch a Joe Rogan experience with Elon Musk. Google that stuff. It's like insane, but straight up. And so like, again, though, look, there is no excuse. The power you have in the palm of your hand is like more technology than we had when we landed the first guy on the moon. Okay, so they straight up. And now that guy, what is he doing? He's talking about colonies on Mars, right? Like, that's insane. So no excuses. You can do this. There's never been a better time than now. You can be successful at this. Again, this is a 12-week program. It's an inner circle group membership. And honestly, like, if I break this down, I just want to bring some attention to this unlimited websites funnel CRM, like the actual program that we have here. The software is like ClickFunnels on steroids. All your digital marketing sales needs, we use this to run our entire business systems and processes. Like, it is bar none the best tool on the market right now. Zach has literally got a breakdown on what makes it the best. If you ever want to see what makes it the best with the program, we white label Go High Level. And if you want to look into Go High Level, you'll find that it's $97 a month. And there are higher packages with this. And we got some clients that are paying higher levels to get more features and benefits from it. So like upwards to $300 a month. Okay. So the value of that is huge. We're talking about $1,200 a year. Okay, grandfathered lifetime access. So plus you're getting the book, the ebook, the audio copy of this book, the course, the weekly coaching, and your name credited in the book as a co-founder to the book. So you're going to be a co-founder to a best-selling book. We've got a #1 international best-selling book from last year. We're going to do it again this year, right? Like, look,
you
so
guys
this whole
can put in, you guys get to put in like your feedback, because that's something that's been invaluable, right? So like, we have a guy, for example, that we were talking to on the coaching call last week, who loves our examples from the books, but he's having trouble applying that to his industry. And so what we're going to do in the next draft, guess what? I'm going to include examples for his industry.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And we're probably going to feature some people that are from the inner circle. And like, like it's an amazing community, man. Like, the value of this is like a weekly mastermind. It's like you get the group support, like the value continues to grow here. I'm telling you, like, we're doing a lot of extra things where, like, I literally am coaching people one-on-one. Like, we're talking about doing that like once a month. Like,
Yeah.
dude, the value of that is huge. I don't even want to get into how much my one-on-one coaching is. I get people that spend, thousands of dollars to get access to that. And it's being thrown in right now with this. And I don't have it on this page yet. We're gonna be, revamping this page. We've been talking about it for a while. But look, the total value is $5,286. And the price is going to go up soon. You want to get on the waiting list right now for April 1st, 2021. And ultimately, it says waiting list, but you get to jump in right away, and we just dive right into it. All right. So now it's $120 USD times 3 months. Okay. Or a one-time payment of $300 USD. Okay. So that is huge, huge, huge value. I can't even, like, if you look at it, like, I think that there's so much more happening here, Zach. Like, I don't know. Is there anything else that you want to add to this?
There's so much. The 300, think about it like this: $300 USD, that covers 3 months access to that software. So if you use that software,
you'll always have that.
Not even including all the crazy amounts of coaching that we're doing here, the course itself, and all those bonuses that you mentioned in this chapter, actually, about like how to get the macro versus micro content and all those different things, guys. This is a ridiculous price point.
Yeah. And note that, like, grandfathered access, meaning that you will have this software for as long as you want. Like, even if you decide not to continue at any point in time, you will always have that software.
Yeah.
But you get all this extra support. You get the tools. You get like, we show you get templates. The templates aren't even on here. Like, how much are the templates worth that we give? Right. Like, and like, we show you how to run the tech. We show you how to be able to, like, put together email campaigns, how to do two-way text integrations, and like having all of these things where you're going to learn about setting up systems and processes on the back end. Like, I don't know anybody who, openly gives this information away. I mean, you can try and YouTube this all you want, but like to get everything this focused at this price point is like, I personally wish that somebody would have offered this to me. It would have been an absolute no-brainer for me, as like in my heart and mind. I just look at this and I'm just like, we are literally doing something right now I've never seen anybody do. And so don't miss this unique opportunity to be able to be a part of this inner circle community. All right. So that's it from us. But by the way, to get to this page and sign up, you just go to go.convertoncommand.pro/passion, the number 2 profits now. So that's go.convertoncommand.pro/passion 2 profits now. And you can do that all one word after the /, or you can put a dash in between every word and, of course, number. So passion -2 profits -now. So go.convertoncommand.pro/passion -2 profits now. Either one of those are going to work. So again, lots of love to you and your loved ones. All the best in health, wealth, and relationships. We look forward to seeing you next week.
See you guys.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the Convert on Command podcast, sponsored by Convert on Command and Mission Ignition Marketing. If you want to ignite your business and increase your sales, be sure to visit convertoncommand.pro and set up a time that works best for you in the calendar at the bottom of the page under the latest feature video.